Let's go.
Yes.
Hey.
Hey, that was like the
Hi.
best idea we ever had.
I know. It was a great idea. I'm gonna introduce you, I'm gonna introduce the show and all that stuff, and then we're gonna get into the thing. So first of all, welcome, Brooke, to Everyday with Kay, and welcome, friends, to Everyday with Kay, the podcast for the constantly curious community. I am your host, Catherine. But I am not the important one. The important one today is I'm always like family, close
Yeah.
friend, all of the things, like just such a pivotal human in my life. This is
Same.
Brooke Webster, also Brooke Girardi Webster, also Brooke Girardi, but not really.
Exactly. Well, we
All
didn't
of
have a
the things.
choice. We were going to be friends and family no matter what, even though it wasn't a birth choice.
No, it was, I mean, I say all the time that like I have always wanted to be part of a big Italian family, and now I get to
And
be
here you
part of a
go.
big Italian family, and it's pretty
Exactly.
exciting, right? All right, so you are Assam. You are
Yes.
my wine Sherpa. So I've learned so much. You are the ambassador for Ole and Abrigado and a wine and spirits and cocktail nerd, which is what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about all things wine. You have said prior to us hitting record that I need to open one of these that you lovingly and with care sent. So I'm going to open the patio pounder first,
Okay.
and then we're going to get into it. All right, so I'm going to hold this up, folks. So this is patio pounder. This is a Vino Verde, and if you have watched any of the, I mean, there's only like 5 episodes out, but if you've watched any of them, you know that Vino Verde is like the thing. It is the thing that I go to. It is the thing that I love. Not like most in the world, but it's real.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. All right.
Well, you are
This
one
is
of the first in the country to have a sample of the only 1 liter of Vino Verde in the U.S. market that we just developed. And
hello.
I had the honor of developing this brand with the former beverage director for Land and Sea Department Restaurant Group in Chicago. So we could get, that's why it says LSD on the label.
Okay, so my Chicago brain went to the other LSD, but
Yeah,
we
like
never call it
Switzer.
LSD. Right, but like nobody that's from Chicago says LSD.
Right. No, it's
Like,
true.
come on. Oh, God, it smells incredible. It smells incredible. All right, you want to walk me through this, and then we're going to get into more stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I think first it's important to talk about the history of Vino Verde as a style and a
Oh, well,
region.
hang on. We're gonna save all the history, Appalachian terroir, all that
Okay.
for the first thing. First, just tell me what I'm tasting.
Okay, you're tasting a beautiful, light, effervescent Vino Verde style that has 3 grapes. Mostly Lorero and Irinto are the important ones. Um,
Oh my God.
it's gonna have, a lot of Vino Verdes on the market have added CO2. This is all natural fermented, light effervescence. This is not a bubbly, but it does have
Mm-mm.
a lighter effervescence. And
Yeah.
this is made in the north of Portugal, so colder
Holy.
climate. Really nice light, like
Yeah.
spritzing wine for your cocktail portion of your meal, the starter, but also really great with fried food.
How
Uh,
do you feel about this just served on a driveway?
yeah,
I
driveway. I mean, it's a patio pounder, so
Right?
we wanted to. The Land and Sea Department has a lot of patio restaurants, so essentially we were first thinking about that in that context, but also just
Yeah.
that we had this winery that is majority women owned and operated,
We love that.
and has a winemaking team, and they make really beautiful, crisp. Obviously, this is all stainless steel, and then
Right.
the fermentation is really cold to keep some of those bubbles intact in a natural way.
I think bottle conditioning is something, I mean, I could talk about bottle conditioning forever. But that's again because I love all things fermentation. But before we get moving into like that direction, let's do this first. How did we meet?
Well,
It's a good one.
my mom Diana, God rest her soul, she I moved back to Chicago after having a illustrious career in New York City and Martha's Vineyard, and came home. She'd been ill, to help out, and she said, "You're gonna be friends with my friend Catherine, and you're gonna help her with this new brewery project that has a bar, and you guys are gonna be the best friends." And took me in the car, made me drive right to where Catherine was literally building exit strategy, and said, "You guys are going to be friends," and it was true.
Oh,
Um,
it's so true.
and we both helped each other out throughout the years and different things that we needed, and
Yeah.
my mother was always right, even though I didn't sometimes want to admit it, and she was not shy about telling you
No.
what you should do.
No, I mean it's one of my most favorite stories because your mom was my mentor when I was teaching, and that is how I met her. So that's how I even met the Girardi Webster clan to start. Was when I was like brand new to my very first school, and the principal was like, "This is Diane. She's your mentor." And I was like, "Hell yeah, that is a hippie art teacher, and I am excited." And that is, and like we clicked instantly, and then off to the races, and then that was it.
Yeah, no, even
It
to the
was
point
really.
where she really wanted to, her, she passed away from a horrible disease, and she really wanted her lunch after her mass to be an exit strategy, which was, I didn't
Yeah.
realize. I knew that it was so important because obviously it was you and the exit strategy family who were so good to us. But I didn't realize till the day of, where all her friends were coming up to me going, "That's hilarious. She would think that was so funny because she was so funny." And I didn't think about her funeral
Being it,
lunch being at a place
it's
called Exit Strategy.
right,
I just thought, "Oh, we're going to Catherine's spot. That's family. So that's why we're doing it there."
right. Also, I
And it's
mean,
awesome.
it's a little funny for a funeral luncheon. We like a good listen. We can obviously be very sad, but if you're not going to laugh at some point, right? Like
Yeah,
this
no, it's
is
true. I mean, my
you got
mother
to have some.
was from, this area of, for those of you who know Oak Park and Forest Park, Illinois, a lot of history. Her great grandfather had a house on Grove, Gasperi Girardi, and then my grandfather Augie Girardi. And she grew up well, now actually my great grandfather was on Kenilworth, further up than my current house, and
Okay.
then my grandfather and where she grew up was on South Grove, and now we have a family house. It's the second generation, me with this house on South Kenilworth. So the Girardi family has been Chicago Italians for a while, and before that, Gasperi was on the south side, and before that, they were in Italy.
We've
So
spent a fair amount of time on the pod talking about the importance of community and talking about the importance of of rooting in a community and what it means to really root down. And for lifers in that specific area, right? Like who know everybody. It's just this fascinating thing that happens when you really, really entrench yourself deep, deep, deep within a community. And I mean, we were in that area for 20 some odd years before we took, I heard it recently referred to as a work visa leave, because we don't want to call it like living. So we're just
right,
calling it like being on a work visa. And it took a while before people were like, yeah, they're part of it. They're part. And now that they're part of it, that's it. Everything else, like now you're in. And
yeah,
once you're in,
let's
you
forget it.
are like in, which is incredible. All right. So, is there anything not wine related that is currently on your radar? Something that like you're either curious about or something you've been like into or reading, or are you just working all the time?
I work
I
on.
know the
I'm
answer.
also I'm a sports fan as well, and a longtime WNBA supporter. I was a ticket holder in New York for the inception of the league, and a lot of the players would come to my bar afterwards, both visiting and home, and that was before they could really be out. So it was a funny little happening. And
Yeah.
then when I moved back to Chicago, my wife and I got Sky tickets, and just watching all the changes that league is going through and the challenges, and obviously just challenges where any women are trying to uh obviously they compete at the level of men in terms of it's a much faster game, but the the struggling for the money to get paid, and then as soon as it gets popular, the tickets go up 80%, even
Right.
though people have been supporting it for years. And so just kind of watching that business, and but also just enjoying the fact that we're getting more TV time, and women's sports are getting a bigger chunk of Sports Center, and that's those are the ways that I can kind of get away from what's happening in the world right now, which is really hard to do, and I don't want to completely do that because we have to be part of the solution, but also not work 24/7.
This is the thing. I think it's really a and I said this again before we hit record, I never, ever, ever want to see your Outlook calendar because I'm scared that I would have a seizure from all of the different colors in the blacks because you are one of two people that I know that is always on. Even when you're off, you're on. But I think, yeah, you've been a huge supporter of WNBA and women's sports and all that. And I think it's so important too to like not, we can only ingest so much news, right? Like we have to stay vigilant, but also not get like such tunnel vision into the badness
Right, or just
of
be having
which
an anxiety attack all the time, given what's
seriously they're
going
just
on.
like living on the edge and like not in a fun Aerosmith way, just
Yeah,
like constantly tensed up. I cannot say enough good things about this wine right now. Which now leads me into like our big main discussion. That's going to be all about wine, but I want to start with your path to becoming a somm. And I want to spend a quick minute talking about the pronunciation because it makes me insane to hear people use the or to say this word incorrectly. So why don't you hit us as a certified person with the
I'm
pronunciation of this
certified
word?
with Chicago accent and Spanish being my second language, but sommelier.
Sommelier, right? You're not a sommelier?
No,
Are you a
no,
sommelier?
or a smellier. I've heard
Oh
word.
man.
That's why I think
Yeah.
it's easy. I mean, the classic, the definition, the technical definition isn't great. So I think some of us youngsters like to say "somm" means master
Yeah.
servant in French. But I really, it's just more the history of like, style of service and knowledge and, digging deeper into food pairings um, and, what the farmers and producers are doing. It's, what it defines for you, how you're going to be a sommelier in your career.
So this is okay. So first of all, when did you start the journey to becoming a certified somm? Was that
Well, I
during
have
it while you were in New York or when you got back?
no, I was in New York. I mean, I have a crazy history, right? And this year's kind of going to be important because October 23rd through the 26th is going to be the 30 year reunion 30-year reunion of a bar I started in 1995 called Meow Mix. And a bunch of people got together and doing a 4-day festival. And so, I grew up in Chicago. I grew up around in Oak Park, and I really, I went to El Salvador during the war, right out of high school, to do human rights work, much as the chagrin to my parents, not the thing that they wanted me to do. But,
Okay.
and I went to Charleston, Illinois for college for 1 year because of all the cool schools I got into. That was the one we could afford. I wanted to go to some
Right.
out of state hippie, but it was going to be crazy expensive and it seemed to make sense. But I didn't stay in school because I didn't challenge me. And I was in Charleston, Illinois. I'd never been around so many white people in my life. My growing was a lot more diverse than that. And so, people being a young queer person who is, butch and couldn't really pass. I've always been who I am. I got out of Charleston, Illinois. I started getting involved in El Salvador work. I went to El Salvador, so I saw something really intense that our government was doing, and that allowed me to get a job doing human rights work. And and then because of that job, we would go to the UN and have different meetings in New York. I got to see New York, and it blew my mind because I just I didn't realize there would be a place because at times in the decades here and still to some extent Chicago's very segregated. I think it's gotten a lot better since
Yeah.
I was younger. But New York had this energy, and I'm glad I did it when I'm in my early 20s. Um, New York had this energy.
Right.
New York had this energy, but also diversity that I had never seen before. And I was, I thought like, this a millionaire was on the same train as, an unhoused person, and people in each neighborhood had character. And that's what I liked about it was similar to Chicago, right? Each neighborhood had character and its restaurants and its markets and, its own vibe and its parks. So, but on like a grander level. And so I thought, you always want to get away from the place you grew up. You don't appreciate it as much.
Hmm.
And so I pretty much left for New York, dropped out of college, left for New York. I, worked in human rights work with El Salvador. I worked for a labor union. I was able to learn Spanish back then. And I eventually was like, oh, if I want to go see the music I want to see, I have to be in a straight community. And if I want to go to a gay space, I have to be listening to the same type of music all the time. And so I just started this thing on Saturday nights called Meow Mix. and it was $5 to get in, and we had live band. It was totally different than any other queer club of its kind, and we had live bands until 11 p.m., and then we had DJs 11 to 4, and there was a line around the block for the
That's
first
incredible.
4 months. And a guy from Ohio had bought this bar on the Lower East Side in East Village, where now it's one of the highest rents, right, for commercial spaces and bars. And he had bought this bar, but he had thought he's just going to open up a bar and it was going to be busy every night. Well, my night was the only thing that was busy. I was working another full-time job at the time, so I saved all the money that I made on the door receipts
Oh
for
my God.
6 months. And at some point, he was kind of desperate to sell the place, so I bought the rest of the lease for 22,000 in cash.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
5.
Oh, right.
And then
Which,
I had an almost 10-year lease in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And I was 24 years old.
oh my
So
God.
I had no idea what I was doing. I knew the music part of it, and I knew how to book the music part of it. I knew the DJs because I DJ'd too. But behind the bar, I taught myself all the things, I learned everything the hard way.
It's, I think there's something to be said about that when it comes to the service industry and in two different fashions. The first is that every single human person on the planet needs to work in the service industry. I don't care if it's for like a winter break and
Absolutely.
it's just 2 weeks, or if it's something that you do as your career. Every single person needs to do it. You need to bust a table. You need to break a glass in the ice bin and burn all the ice.
Tap a
You need
keg.
like you need to tap a cat. You need to wear white
Yeah.
and retap a stout.
Yeah.
You needed to get all over your person. Like you need all of these experience. You need somebody to scream and yell at you who
Yeah.
just speak like just because
You
it
need to
just
go through
builds
every
something.
plumbing and electrical crisis
Oh, good God in
and learn to
heaven.
have people not take advantage of you. But that
Yeah.
was really
And
my first beverage. That was how I got introduced to it.
it's really taken off for you because I think when you were talking about your path in some world, you've definitely gone more like production and farms and growers and like all of that, which I desperately want to get into as soon as I open my I would love to say it's our favorite style is coming next. I have like one sip
Yes.
left and then it is our favorite style. I mean
Yes.
to the point where you and I have discussed
Oh, we're definitely getting
tattoos.
that too. We're definitely getting.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Just we're, and it's right. Like, I can't think of another style of wine that has its own emblem that's so significant to the style, to the area, to the, like, to all of these things. So I have, as we move on into more wine talk, I have a couple of terms that I think would be great. Because, like, the last wine pod that we did, I was drinking wine out of a box and it was hilarious. And I did not have to even discuss anything like appellation, terroir, right? I can, but not with box wine. But why don't you talk a little bit about just the term appellation and what the appellation means? Because we see that on a lot of wines. When we're looking at wines, we see appellation, whatever. So what does the appellation mean?
So the appellation, and depending what country you're in, sometimes the rules, but is the wine region or area of a particular grape or style or where states are. So this is Albarino, right? So it's from Rias Baixas, but Albarino is also part of a bigger region or appellation called Galicia. So Galicia has a couple different wine delineations within it. So Rias Baixas is really the home of and the birthplace of Albarino. You have 5 subregions of Albarino. It's super fun to nerd out about. I think you've done our certification class before.
I
Um,
started it and then things. Um,
but I mean,
but I'm going to
appellation
do
can
it.
mean a lot of things. So DO also could mean, the origin of denomination is like the wine government. I compare it to because they decide whether a wine's going to be stamped as official from that area or it's going to be a table wine. And so when you see a stamp from Rias Baixas, you know that a group of experts who either have history or are more modern judges are going to say, we can put our stamp on this. This is quality enough to put our stamp on.
I'm going to share really quickly for anyone that's going out and they're like, I would love to look for something that is from Rias Baixas. You are not going to be able to sound this out. It is not phonetic at all. You're going to look for a lot of X's.
Yes, it's
Look for X's.
Riaxas,
Yeah, just
Biaxax.
right.
Yeah,
You can go and say it to people.
yeah.
But if you're looking at a bottle, you're gonna be like, no. Yes, just look for anything with a lot of X's. All right. Speaking of Albarino, I'm gonna move the one. I have so many chillers. I've never had two chillers on my desk before. I'm not mad at it. All
Well,
right.
look, I didn't send you more wines. I couldn't
Just,
decide.
I mean, I was like, thank you so much for sending me something. I have described for you many a time,
Oh
mostly
yeah,
on Instagram, when you post pictures of beautiful wine, and then I message you and I say things like, I
we're
just
here.
miss good wine. All right. So I'm gonna pop this. And again, this is an Albarino. This is I'm gonna say it wrong, of course, but I'm gonna say Lagar de Pintos,
That's correct.
Albarino. And this is I'm so excited. Yeah, Ria Spacias. There we go. I'm gonna
So I
pour.
have to say, and I know everything that you've tasted pretty much from this region. Um,
Hmm.
this is the closest to the ocean you will get in the subregion of Solness. So these
Okay.
lines are 5 to 25 feet away from the ocean. Um,
Come on.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And this family, the winemakers, her name is Marta Castro Pintos. She is the fourth generation. In the 50s, this was like a sheep farm, and um, her,
Oh my God.
yeah, her style.
Oh my.
She's carried on the style of her family. Um, they have a patho, which is a stop on the Camino de Albarino when you're doing that hike or pilgrimage, or however you want to call it, whatever your purpose is, to go to the Cathedral of St. James. And many people do that from different routes. And she's right on that. The patho was a place where you could, if you were on this pilgrimage back in the day, you could stop and get wine and food and sleep. Now their estate is they make wine. They make four really good wines. This is their entry level. This is used barrel fermentation, so it's just going to get
Oh,
more aromatic. It's going to get
that's interesting.
yeah, it's going to get more aromatic as it opens up.
Okay, so
And then see, and then
I'm gonna hit
see.
you with I'm gonna hit you with what I'm smelling.
Okay.
And I want to see. Remember, I've been trying to train more diligently. Well, when I was up there, more diligently, and then I want to get back to it upon the great return. Um, so the second that you said this is the closest you're going to get to the sea, there is slate and wet stone,
Yeah.
right?
So
Like there's
this soil is all granite and
yeah,
sand. And you got to think about
like you
this,
can
this area. This is the largest fishing port in the world.
and you can smell. There's a salinity that you get in the nose. Um, there is a little bit of citrus. I don't get a ton of citrus on this. Um, I get a little. Is it like a little, like a tiny bit of stone fruit,
Yeah. I get a little bit of orchard fruit.
but like not a lot,
Not a lot. It's
right?
some,
Yeah, there's a little. There's some, but it's mostly like I just yeah. I get like
and depending
I
what
get that
temperature you're having at right now, as it warms up, it'll get even more aromatic
as
because
we know because I say this until I will say it. I have said it. I will continue to say it until I'm blue in the face. Let everything warm up. Let your beer warm up. Let your wine warm up. Let your cocktails warm up. Like let it warm up. When you drink it too cold, all you get is cold. That's it. That's it. So all you're tasting is cold, and that's a waste of your taste buds. It's a
yeah,
waste of like something that's delicious and wonderful with character.
agreed. Having things too cold means you're trying to hide something, hide impurities. I mean, this they
You know,
say
I've sworn a lot today on this. I feel, and I'm about to do it again.
okay.
Um, Holy mother. Well, I'll say mother puss bucket instead of like a big swear, but like that is. And
Special.
those for our Ghostbusters fans too. This is incredible. This is incredible. I get a little more lemon on the palate,
Yeah.
like a little
So
pithy lemon rind.
So you're a fan of our Albarino, which when it has an HO on the end instead of an NA, it means it's from Portugal side of this
Mhm.
border. That's why sometimes people are confused. They get into a wine store and they're like, "Well, I've never had this Albarino with the HO on the end." It's delicious. Same grape, just a little bit farther south. So Nordico Albarino, which is the Portuguese Albarino that we all love, and I know you love it, and you sold a lot of it.
Be
Uh,
still my heart.
um, is right along the Minho River, just on
Mhm.
that border between Spain and Portugal. So you have the influence of the river and the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean.
So
This is like
these,
raw Atlantic Ocean. So this is like squeezing lemon over your food, whereas something a little bit more inland like Nordico, is like more lime zest, right? And their citrus
yes.
profile.
So I think that brings us to the next term that I wanted to talk about, which was terroir. And we've started to do that in talking about where these wines and where these vineyards are located. terroir does an enormous amount to a grape. When I talk about terroir to anybody, like, I should pause and say this. In the hierarchy of like my world of wine, you Sherpa me to a place where I need to be with knowledge. And then I take that knowledge and disseminate it to the people around me that I drink wine with. Whenever those people aren't you, that's like, I try to trickle it right down, right? Like I want to start as the sponge and then I wring the sponge. Um, so whenever I describe terroir to people and talk about it, the prime example that I use is the great state of Michigan. Michigan is the only state in the U.S. inland in the lower 48 that cannot grow citrus. So its terroir is completely affected by its inability to grow citrus. You can't grow citrus in Michigan. They don't have the soil and the climate for it. There's actually a really temperate, I mean, regardless of how much it snows and sure you get crappy weather, but it's generally a climate that is friendly to grapes. But those grapes, because they're rooted in soil that grows fruit and fruit trees, that's what it's sucking up. So the terroir there impacts Michigan wine in such a way where you don't get, yes, you will get some acidity, but you don't get the same kind of acidity that you do from terroirs that grow anything like stone fruits or citrus or are rocky, right?
Yeah.
Terroir is just hugely important.
Yeah, I mean Michigan's doing a lot of interesting things right now, but you could grow like blueberries there and apples, and so you're gonna get those types. So that's why Riesling grows really well there, and Cabernet Franc. In certain parts of Southwest Michigan, you have like equal to Bordeaux situations where you have similar diurnal shifts, which makes some great balance of fruit for the winemakers who know what they're doing, who are not just putting fruit in wine and calling it wine. But
You know what? Those were great when I was 22 and I wanted to feel fancy. And I was like,
spritzer.
peanut butter and jelly wine, I'm in.
Cut to
God. If I
No,
could go back and smack younger me, I would.
but I think also, you got to think about that, what we call the diurnal shift. So when you have really hot days and really cold nights, it's great, it can be great for acidity. So that's what's going to help acidity in Michigan. Michigan's going to be one of the places, definitely in the United States, if not the world, that still has fresh water 30 years from now.
Right.
So those, how they change, I actually think Albarino could grow in some parts of Michigan really well. It would be a little bit different flavor profile. I think might be a little bit more, you get more of that orchard fruit than than the lemon profile.
But since we're talking, I mean, and again, that was like a pretty rudimentary example, but it's something that's so concrete to people where they're like, all right, this is accessible knowledge sometimes, right? But since we are specifically discussing Portuguese wines today, and our Vino Verdes and our Albarinhos, which we love so much, the terroir varies from place to place within that appellation, yeah?
Yes. So within Rias Baixas on the Spanish side of the border, you have 5 subzones. Salnes, where this is from, is where the majority of Albarino is produced, but it's all small plots. And what's interesting about what Marta Pintos is doing is that she was one of the first sort of champions of organic, because it's very hard to get organic certifications there because you have so much mildew because it's such wet. Like think of San Francisco, but on steroids.
Oh, okay.
And so she's, been a pioneer in this, and she has, passed along different things to other winemakers too, and said like, I'm really close to the ocean, we can do this. And so she's totally farming organically. And also it's all trellis system, which means you have these canopies. And so instead of being on the ground when you're harvesting, everything grows above. You look up and you're picking the grapes like this. They grow through a trellis.
Oh,
so that more air flows through the grapes, so you're not going to get mildew. And the sun is just enough, but some of the leaves, when they want to, can shade from the sun. So, and then you get all that salinity, and they don't allow, everything's dry farm there, so they don't allow any artificial watering systems because that would ruin all these vineyards.
That's incredible. That's brand new to me. That's really something.
So,
well, it makes perfect sense to have wines grow above. Or to have
you know where else they do that? They do that in Basque Country in Spain, when they grow the chocolate grapes or the grapes there, because they have similar conditions right near the Cantabrian Sea. So that's how a lot of the chocolate is grown as well. And so when you're in harvest, it's a different kind of problem than when you're in harvest other places where you might be lower to the ground. But here you're like this. They have shoulder problems. Everybody else has
Right.
problems.
Right. You're just it's just where it hurts,
But it's
right?
really
Shoulders and
beautiful.
neck, lower back. Well, I think that's another one of those things where if we're not really talking about, having like good in-depth conversations about the wine, we may just assume all wine grows on like, wires and rows like we see in the movies in Michigan or wherever. But when you start to really think about it and this is why I just love talking about growing wine and fermenting beverages and all this, it makes perfect sense that like air needs to move through things, right? Like your clothes will mildew if you are in a humid place and you do not have a humidifier on.
Exactly.
They just because there's no air moving through them, right? Like it all just makes really, really good sense when we start to really think about the technique of growing. Now, something else that's interesting that I have found super interesting, as I have traveled my own little personal Camino de Albarino with you, is the number of female-owned operations. Like it's just nuts to me the amount of female leadership that we're seeing in this specific region.
Well,
Like
the
there's
history there
so many
too.
women producers.
Yeah, over 50% at, at least. It's, it goes historically, it goes back to, men went out and fished and the women stayed back and took care of not only the wineries and the business of the wineries and sometimes the winemaking, but also the all the tin fish canneries and all those recipes that go for decades and hundreds of years. It's the longest preservation system, and so women stay back. A lot of those recipes you'll see when you go there that those are ran by women, and a lot of even the men winemakers will say, "My grandmother taught me this," or my aunt taught me this about winemaking. So it's a pretty amazing region. Also has Celtic history, so every once in a while you'll see Galician guys with bagpipes. And
Oh,
even though Galicia is part of Spain, they have their own language. So Gallego is the first language and Spanish is the second language. So Gallego is a little bit closer to Portuguese than it is to Spanish.
I
So
was really going to try to learn a Portuguese phrase for today, and it got away from me. I
okay,
will try again.
obrigada. When you say thank you in Portuguese, you have to use, if you're saying it as a woman, it has to be feminine. So you would say obrigada, where your husband would say to somebody obrigado
Obrigado.
if you're
Well, you
saying.
know what? I feel like if you can roll an R, you can get away with a whole lot. Like so many things, and I can roll an R, so I can get away with I
Well,
can
my
fake it
wife
till you make
calls
it.
Portuguese drunken Spanish because
That's
I don't know what the
perfect.
Portuguese call Spanish, but it's a
Sober jerks. Who knows? Probably not. All right. So speaking of obrigado and obrigada, you are an ambassador for Ole and Obrigado, which is a group of a group of winemakers. Yeah.
well. So, Oledo Brigado. I'm a market manager, so I handle many different states, the Mid Atlantic, and a couple states in the Midwest, and then a couple national groups like Jose Andres Group, and so
We
I
love that guy.
yeah, it's an
God,
honor. But I,
he's the best.
Oleno Brigado is started by a winemaker and a guy from a winemaking family. And Patrick Mata was 19 years old when he came to Florida, and he came to Florida. He actually started in Florida, and he was like, he called his dad and he said, "Papa, all these people in America are drinking really crappy Spanish wine," and that was like 26 years ago, 27 years ago. He started with three wines. He wasn't even legal enough when he got his first container. He wasn't even legal to drink in this country. And
Oh
his
my
business
God.
partner is his best friend, who Alberto Orte, who makes a lot of wines in our portfolio and has makes wines from a historical perspective. And you need to read about Alberto Orte because Janice Robinson, who I think is one of the best wine writers in the world, calls him El Mago, the magician, because he makes things. He rescues old clones that of great varieties that were going to go, they were going to be lost forever. And he
Oh my
studies
God.
old books, and he comes up with different ways of making things, and he comes up with ways of being organic and being good to the land, and so he makes everything from sherry to Riojas to, he makes Nordico. He's the winemaker of Nordico. So he's this genius, and
Obviously, I love him.
he's on the Spain side, and Patrick is on the U.S. side, but both Spaniards. And then they brought in another Portuguese partner when we started doing all the Obrigado side of things. in Portugal to bring on some of the greatest Portuguese producers in the world right now. Everybody has the same DNA that they're good to the earth. All the estates that we represent all over Spain and all over Portugal, that they're good to the earth. We're one of the very first, if not the first, carbon neutral certified importers in the U.S., which means my bosses could put profits in their pocket, but instead they fund three projects around the world that offset our emissions. So everything I do, from flying to DC for a tasting and a wine dinner, to the wines getting here, to making sell sheets for things, everything gets calculated by an NGO, and then they fund these three projects around the world, including a geothermal plant. Uh,
Good God.
so it's cool to work for people that not only always want to represent the little guy, the brands that maybe couldn't come to the U.S. and then they've become very famous winemakers from that, but they're still making wines out of the size of a garage, a winery at the size of a garage, to historic estates like Navarone that makes amazing, what I call, it's vintage cava, but I call it Mediterranean champagne. So that
I still have bottles.
yes, I'm sure you
I
do.
have I have three. I have three. I'm down from like six that I brought, but I have three, and I refuse to I just don't want to drink them. Maybe on so my birthday's Saturday, so maybe on Saturday
Yes,
I will
so
pop one of them potentially. I just want to keep them because I feel like if I drink them, I'm never gonna have them again, which is false.
totally not true.
I
Then
know.
we're
And
making
in my brain, I'm like, you can't drink them. You have to save them forever. Like, no. I also have some
yeah.
Totos still.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Mm,
I feel pretty blessed to have the job I have after working in restaurants for many years and being supportive of this portfolio, and I in three different states where I was a buyer.
yeah.
Um, so it's cool, man. Everybody we represent is doing something really important in the wine world and making really good wine. There's not one brand from even a $8 wholesale bottle that I don't feel proud of.
Which I think is something that's so, so important. And it also speaks to the idea that you don't have, yes, the 40, 50, $60 bottles are special and wonderful and incredible. Do they all have to be that? No, they do not. You can absolutely do quality
Yeah,
on a budget. You can do quality for not a super huge amount of money. So, one of the things that I probably started to notice more the more that you and I were, or the more that you were like leading me into like the world of Portuguese and Spanish wines, these guys, Portuguese wines, this region seems to just be just huge right now. It's I feel like there's just more presence of this region of wine now. You can even find it in some of these big box giant stores, which 10 years ago I don't remember ever seeing like an Albarino or Alvarinho like section, and now you do. What do you think is contributing to the popularity of this region in wine now, as opposed to like how it was years ago?
well, I think Portugal is sort of the last stand of, or one of the last stands of, the Western Europe, of the old world wines, that has this like extreme quality, along with
Hmm.
Spain too, but like for not the price of Italian or French wines. Um, and I think, I mean, the biggest thing is so many people are going to Portugal.
Yeah.
People have moved there. I can't tell you, in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, where I could usually only sell Rioja and Ribera del Duero wines because those are the ones they know. Everybody wants to do a Portuguese wine dinner, and they can't even pronounce those grapes, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's a testament to how great the wines are, because unfortunately, unless you're a wine nerd in this country, like a lot of times people just stick to what they know, or the names that they know, and that's sad to me because you're training your palate just to be boring, and you're not getting those experiences of being like, oh wow, that's why sometimes you might think something's good because you never try anything else. So
Well, this is okay. So in one of our episodes, we spent some time talking about the wine club that I ran with Kristen, who you've met a number of times. Um, and like the whole point of that entire setup was exactly that. Okay, so you don't know what a VNA is. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try like 12 different ones, and we're gonna figure out all of these things with VNA because there you go. Because no one, because you maybe didn't hear of it, you haven't seen it on a menu, you don't know what it is. So this is what we're going to do is we're going to get in, we're going to learn these things. But I think that is it's just one of the best things about wine, spirits, and beer is if you don't know about it and you're only if you're only in your lane, but this is just a metaphor for life, right? If you're only in your lane, you're just missing out on everything
Yeah.
else. And why would you do that to your palate? Why would you deprive your palate? That's rude. And two, why would you deprive yourself of like knowledge?
Yeah, no, I do think that, I mean, if there was anything, positives from the pandemic, I think one thing was that people really got out of their comfort zones in beverage and learned a little bit more. And, were able to be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to just try to find like the cheapest bottle of wine. I want to know what this is, and I'm going to buy a $20 bottle of wine or a $25 bottle of wine. And then people were like, oh, I don't have to drink crappy wine. I can drink good wine, and I don't have to drink super expensive wine for it to be good. And maybe I want to look at the back label because maybe I want to know if this has a bunch of crap in it, So
That's just the thing, right? Is that I think we get so accustomed to when we're shopping, like, all right, well, I'm just going to go get the 7.99, Sauvy B. Like, no, calm down. You can spend your 15 or $20. You can get something nice. And reading the back. So one of the things that I like the most whenever I have anything from the Ole and Abrigado portfolio is the way that the back is set up. There's always a map, which I think is great, right? Like, tell me where the thing is from and then give me all of the description, not just yes, the government warning is on every label, but like,
so now we have the QR code that takes you right to the text sheet.
oh, I love those sheets. I miss
So
those
that
sheets.
QR code next to the map takes
Yes.
you right to the text sheet where you can get food pairings, how the wine's made, a little story about them. There's even like a zip code thing where you can put your zip code in and request the wine to be retail near you or contact us. So it's a great thing.
Wait a minute. Hold, please. This is new information. I could have been scanning something to find. Well, it doesn't matter. I can't find it in the
If
swap.
we have
It's
an
fine.
email from a consumer, it's easier for us to say to our distributor in your state, right? We're in 48 states now. Patrick Mata back in the day started in
really?
one state and then 2 states, but we're in 48. And we tried to make sure that consumers have what they need, right? So all the time I'll get an email from info at, and even Patrick Mata himself, our founder and one of our owners, checks the info at a lot. And I'll get an email from, oh, this person's looking for liquid geography in Illinois and they're way in the southwest suburbs. Liquid geography, I had to throw that in there.
Jesus God. I'm sitting on one. I have one left. I brought three
We
down.
have more.
I have one left.
We have more.
You have more. I don't have more.
It's sold in Florida. It's sold in Florida.
Not in the swamp, baby.
I will find it.
It is not. But trust me. Every time I go in there, I'm like, "Hi, I'm gonna need you to find some liquid jar." And I have 2 wine shops now, and I have found 2 total. And I've been like,
I'm
"Listen,
going to send you a link after this podcast for you to request it and to see and see who responds to you. And they're going to tell the person that's me in Florida, this person needs this, this, and this. And hopefully the distributor can get it to you.
I mean, I will say, there is one. I found one. There's one restaurant. That's how many fingers. One that serves the Nordico, and we go once a month because I'm always like just into my veins. Put it right here. Put it right here. I love it so much. And they're like, you are one of the only people that just comes in and like orders it by name.
Okay, but every time you go now, there's a QR code on the back of that one that you can enter to win a trip to Portugal as a consumer. So you need to do that.
This is great. I'm over the moon with how delicious and wonderful this is.
But yeah.
Anything else about like Portuguese wine or wine knowledge you want to drop on us?
I mean,
this is so cool.
Portugal is a place where, there's just, the Douro is one of the 12 UNESCO sites. And so, in the 90s, they really had these big red blends like we were having that was the trend. And now there's like more lighter style, really cool terroir driven wines from that area. So that's where you have a lot of mica schist soil. Like what Formica is made of. The really things that so they have this amazing soil there. And, we have a couple winemakers who are just they're like in the forefront of being not what they call the new Portugal movement. The Massanita brother and sister duo who are making wines in 4 parts of Portugal.
We love them.
Yeah.
We love them.
And
they are cool.
Yeah. So Joanna, former national team of Portugal gymnast before she was a winemaker. They don't come from a winemaking family. They borrowed money from their friends and their family to start their first winery, where Antonio started in Alentejo and makes wine with another woman winemaker there, which is one of the most interesting parts of Portugal to me, because of it's not like a big tourist destination, like Porto or Lisbon or the Douro, but it is where the most cork in the world is grown. And so if you think about where all your cork comes from and you think about tariffs, California wines still need cork.
They
So
sure
that's where
do.
all the cork trees are. So when you're driving through there, you see olive trees, cork trees, and vineyards. And it is sunny like 350 days out of the year in that area. So you're going to be in the southeast corner um, of Portugal. And then, one of the things that Antonio Massanita also does is he has tried to save old vines in the islands of the Azores. And he's very well known for his wines from the island of Pico in the Azores Island, which is actually part of Portugal, and it is 2/3 of the way to Portugal. So if you wanted to go to Portugal and having to go all the way there, you could take a direct flight from Boston to the islands of the Azores, and there's 9 beautiful islands.
How random.
Yeah. And Antonio,
It's really random.
a winemaking Azores Wine Company, is doing some really revolutionary things. They, build a volcanic wall around their vines. And then he's also doing the same thing in Madeira. He's not making dessert wines in Madeira. He's making still wines the old way they used to, with grape varietals that he's trying to keep alive. So this idea of keeping old vines, why is that important? Because you have to think about the struggle that old vines have, but also how far deep into the soil that their rootstock goes. And
So
so,
something I was gonna ask about was exactly that. If folks are in a wine shop and someone says, "Well, are you looking for something that's old world or new world? Old vines or new vines?" There's a huge distinction between what an old vine is and what a new vine is, and where you're going to get an old vine versus a new wine or versus a new vine. So your old worlds or your old vines, and let me see if I can hit some of them.
okay.
Okay. All right. Croatia.
Yeah,
Right.
old world.
All right. Portugal, Spain,
Yeah.
France, Italy, because France, Italy. Um, Germany. Hang on. I'm working my way around. I
No.
know I'm forgetting some. Oh, wait. I've got some of the Eastern European countries
Yeah.
are old world, right?
Yes.
So I've got, all right, France, Italy, Spain,
See if you're.
Portugal, Croatia, Greece.
Yes, that's one I always get. That's one I always forget.
Yeah, I forget Greece a lot because I don't do a lot of Greek wine, but Greek wine is old vines. And the thing with old vines is that, as Brooke was saying, they're so heavily rooted that they've made that terroir, they've contributed to their terroir as much as the terroir has contributed to them. So it's more of a symbiotic, old relationship, right? As opposed to new vines. And my California wine drinkers are going to be all like, California, that's some new wine. That's new vines.
That's New
It's
World.
new.
South
It's new
America's
world.
New World.
We P.S. The United States is also a baby country. So like obviously the vines would be babies in the world.
So think about a wine. I'm gonna try to get you to name one more old world country. Think about a
Okay.
wine that is similar uh to Vino Verde, and it comes in liters. What country is that from?
I do know this, don't I?
You do.
Okay, hang on. I'm not North America, I'm not South America. So I'm over in Europe. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And it comes in liters. Did I carry it?
I think you probably
Probably.
carried it from somebody, yeah.
Um
Not from me. All right,
so okay.
I know it's not secret. So Austria. Austria's old world.
Yes. Shit,
Gruner
Austria.
Veltliner. Gruner
Okay.
Veltliner. So that's a fun 1 liter. That's kind of like the 1 liter.
I love a Gruner, and I can't believe okay, that's one of my favorites just because it's another one that's generally a little bit lighter in alcohol, lighter in color, really bright green apple, like real crisp. I love a Gruner. Ugh.
And
Do you see what's happened
they
to me
make
since I
1
swap
liters of,
lifed?
they make 1 liters of that, and a lot of times they'll have like beer tops too. They'll have pop off tops.
They sure will. They sure
Um,
will.
and
All right,
then
go ahead.
Hungary,
Oh, okay.
Switzerland,
Sure, yeah.
that French influence.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if we forgot anybody. I don't think so.
I don't think we did. I don't think we did. If there's a human person that's watching right now, I'm like, but you
Romania,
forgot.
Romania, I think.
There we go. Okay, and that covers most of the like Yeah,
Old world
that
one.
covers it. Um, but it's interesting. All right, so we're gonna move on to another fun thing. You are going to be the inaugural person for this new segment that I'm doing. I
Okay.
did it in the last
I
episode.
hope I'm prepared.
You're absolutely prepared. I mean, I didn't prepare you for it, but you're prepared. Um, in the last episode, we started to talk about this, and it really got me thinking that this should just be something that I do all the time. What phrase? The segment is called "Bury It." What phrase do you want to bury in the ground? What's like a pop culture phrase, or not even pop culture, like just one of these things that's like become part of the collective vernacular that you were like, don't say it to me, don't say it anywhere near me. I want to bury it in the ground. I want to dig a hole for it, and I want to put that phrase in there, and I never want to hear it again. It's a
Uh,
hard one because
it's a
there's
hard
so
one.
many.
I'd have to say sometimes I'd be like when someone's you ask how they are and they're like, not too bad.
It means nothing.
Because I'm like, do you want me to ask you? Like, are you okay? Like, I
Right.
mean,
Like, do I go deeper
or
with
it could be
this or
really
do I
hard.
stop?
I'm not sure why I don't like it.
Can you have more of a vocabulary with me, please? And thank you. Right.
I'm
So
trying
like,
to think.
oh,
I'm trying to think of something else that maybe is in the wine world that drives me crazy. There was a while there when every somm was comparing every wine to Chenin Blanc.
listen, I love a nice Chenin Blanc. I don't think I've given them enough credit in the world, but like, come
I mean, I like Chenin
on.
Blanc, but it's definitely like a super sommy, wine to talk about all the time, right? And
All
nothing
right.
wrong with
So
that. But
we're burying things that compare everything to Chenin Blanc and not too bad. Because like again, it means it's what, like when somebody says the word nice and you're like, it means literally nothing.
it's a cop out, right?
Oh, 100%. Because again, do you want me to inquire? Do you want me to push? Do you want me to be an empathetic listener? Or do you want me to be like, cool?
Or is that because you don't want to talk about anything and so you're saying it in that way? I mean, if
Right.
to be totally honest too, I might be being unfair, but it's
Sure,
one of those
probably
things
not.
like
No,
where
it's
am I?
annoying. It's annoying. I hear you and it's annoying. And I'm now on a crusade to stop all annoying phrases. Just one,
I love it.
I'm just
Well, how
one
about
gal
you?
who,
What's
oh,
your
I have so many. I'm going to start doing a tiny series. I tell you what, here's a sneak preview of the one that I'm going to come out and do like a whole thing on it because I can't stand it. I'm not going to get into why I can't stand it. But I want to bury the phrase ladylike. I don't
yeah,
even want to go 6 feet. I want to go 12. I want to go 12 feet underground with it.
yeah,
And then I want to burn the soil on top of the hole. And I want new
I'm
soil.
with you on that.
Like, that's what I want to bury next. And I'm going to do, there's going to be a whole, I'm feeling very spicy as I get to this, like, last year of the 40s. Real spicy lately. Very, like, real spicy. And Ladylike is on my hit list right now.
Yeah,
Um, all right, great. There's so much wrong with it. And
yeah.
it was said to me recently, and I was like, I'm going to end your life. I
You're
will
gonna need to
end
get
you.
out of
Like, I
Florida.
will just,
I think you need to get out of Florida.
I will slice and dice you with my vicious tongue. All right. Meanwhile, let's get into our three questions. Do you want to go one for one or do you want to do three and three?
Let's go one for one. Okay.
All right, great. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'm gonna go first.
Oh, all right.
What are your top three fave breweries that have the all-around taproom experience? Beer, food, vibe, and service.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. Old Irving.
Okay.
Old Irving. Solid beer, solid food, great vibe. All the things they do are great. I love everything that they do. Off color. I mean, they don't do food.
Yeah.
But I would sit in Mousetrap all day long. All day long, all the time.
But you
I
can
just
order
everything they
food
do is
around
great.
there, right? You can order food.
They have some pop-ups sometimes. Like, they've had a dumpling place come in. They have pizza places come in. And yes, there you can just go walk somewhere and get some food and don't bitch about not having food. Or, just shut up and drink your beer. Which is just handy advice for life. Old Irving off color. All right.
It doesn't have to be Illinois if something else has rocked you, been like super.
You know what, I will say this. I have a brewery here that I love. There is, but no, very few breweries. And I mean, like, I can't even count any on one hand. So zero, where I currently am,
Yeah.
that have food. This is a food truck community. They'll have a food truck every single night, but it rotates. So none of them actually have a kitchen,
I mean,
which means they're
Chicagoland is known to be the hardest place to
Right.
food trucks.
right. So I will say that Point About Brewing down here, which is like my local, love it. Love that I can go. I have a really hard time going into bars by myself, which is like it's the weird. It's just one of those weird. I don't understand even why. I don't like going to bars and breweries by myself. But I can go there by myself because like it's comfortable, it's small, it's like their beer, they're doing solid beer, which is tough down here because of the water. You got a lot of reverse osmosis
I
down here.
bet.
It's real, it's rough. So I'm gonna go Old Irving, Off Color, and Point of Vale.
I love it.
Yeah, not bad. All
Love
right.
it.
This is, I mean, this comparatively, this is a softball, I think, as you sport people might say. Sport. How many times do you hit snooze?
You know what? I used to hit it twice, and I now in my older age, I wake up before. I wake up before my alarm naturally. It's really annoying.
Yeah, thanks, menopause.
I know.
I mean, it's
Like
great.
it used to be like a twice on the snooze, and then I was like limit myself, right? Like
Yeah,
hey, you got those 18 minutes or whatever. It was like 9 minutes every, and then I'd be like, if you don't get up after that, you are gonna fall back asleep like hard, right? So,
right.
but now I can set my alarm all the time. Even when I'm in Spain on a work trip, or Portugal, wake up at least a half hour before my alarm goes off. I don't know if it's a Virgo thing or it's just a being almost 55 thing or
I wonder if it's in all of those things.
yeah,
This is another, I forget that you're a Virgo, and I think that is part of the reason why we are this, because Leos and Virgos are like, boom.
yeah, oh
They
yeah,
just go right. They're I would say ketchup and mustard, but we hate ketchup, so yeah.
it's true. We're good,
All right,
Chicago.
you're up.
Okay, so what's the most ridiculously funny thing a student has ever said to you?
Oh, good one. It's a really good one. Um, there are two instances that I will share. The first is it was actually off of it was we weren't at school. I taught in the community where I lived. So like I would leave school and then have to do things and the kids would be like around. And there was a time that I was at Target and I was like carrying a handful of like bras because Target and bras and whatever. And a kid came up to me and was like, "Yo, Miss Valleau." And I was like, "Hi, buddy." And he was just like, "Are those bras?" I was like, "They sure are. I will see you tomorrow." I mean, and this child's mother was like, "Did my son just ask you if you're carrying bras?" And I was like, "He sure did. I'm going to go now.
And how old?
Bye-bye."
How old?
Fifth grade. Fifth grade. 10 years old. I also had a kid one Christmas. I had a student. There is no chance that this child is listening. His name is Demetrius. And for like, Christmas presents for teachers are always like tchotchkes,
Right.
right? They're like, although I think they've
Our gift
really
cards.
progressed. Well, like now, I think there's just a lot of gift cards, right? But that was not the case 10, 15, oh Lord in heaven, 15 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
It was like tchotchkes. And so I had this kid, Demetrius, he brought in a blue stuffed dog and it had like a diamond bracelet around its neck, like a collar. And I looked at him and I go, "Hey, buddy, what is this?" And he's like, "I don't know. It was in my mom's room." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. What are you doing?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I emailed the mom and I was like, "I think I have a bracelet of yours."
Yeah.
And she like emailed back and she was like, "God damn it." She was like, "Yep, that's mine." Also, the dog was from the dollar store. The bracelet is not. I'm gonna need that back. And I was like, "Yeah, that's
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
that was a good one." Ooh wee, yeah. Bras and like a tennis bracelet. It was really that was. I mean, thank you for thinking so highly, but also like no.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Um, do you consider yourself an artist, knowing your lineage?
Oh,
I know.
I come from an artist family, but I've always considered myself more of a producer, not an artist, right? Like
Okay.
like I was a DJ coming out very young. I've produced a lot of parties and big events. I have orchestrated many big restaurant concepts.
Okay.
So I feel like, there's the artist and there's the producer, right? I feel like
Absolutely. 100%.
I'm the organizer. I'm the um my brother Nicholas has my mom's artist skills. He's great at drawing and he's also a great musician so my mom was so skilled and then my dad is a great writer. So, they had all those skills. I think I was more like let's put all the dots together and get it done. And try to be around artist people who I really respect.
Yeah.
Not only I've done it with wine, but I did it for a long time with music. A lot of bands got signed at my place back in the day in New York, and I've always tried to be supportive of learned a lot about art. We grew up going to the Art Institute. Even if we were poor, we had to have that family Art Institute membership, even in the hard times.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been
100%.
we would go and see whatever was happening at the the free events downtown that were art events and showings, and then we would also go to the Art Institute a lot. And my family has instilled that in me, and I feel very lucky to be now a semi collector of art because of what they started with collecting some art that nobody else wanted to buy, and now is known outsider artists. So
I wondered where you would go with that. But again, I mean, this is, when you know the back, like I wondered what direction you would go.
yeah, I mean,
That's
my
awesome. I
mom
feel the
Jen
same.
is a
Like,
brilliant pottery artist. We still have her art around the house, but also later in life she was a painter and she drew, and so we have a lot of her art all around the house. And um, I donated her pottery wheel and her kiln to a children's artist organization on the south side after she died. But I mean, we had a kiln in our basement. I guess
sure,
my dad was so supportive. He gave that to her for her birthday one year.
of course he did.
But as
Of
you know,
course he
she
did.
affected so many students over the
Yeah,
years at different
yeah.
schools, and being very, very staying late. And I would fly home from New York all those years and like help her break down her class or set up her class, and
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be special for every student.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. 100%. All right, you're up.
Okay, your three favorite dining experiences in Chicago thus far of all time.
Okay. Of all time? It's gonna sound so snotty though, like if I say them.
Hey, the more you
All right.
taste in this world,
Okay. Trotters. That was incredible. L ideas, absolutely insane. And then so those are the two that are like just crazy. And then I'll tell you, there's a sushi place in Wicker Park that like before I close my eyes for the last time and somebody like puts glitter in my ashes and explodes me through a cannon. Um, I Coast Sushi. Bury me inside that and like that's the one you can go in sweats and you can have incredible sushi and it's just fabulous. And then L Ideas is I mean you can like what
it just takes a journey.
I have no speech for L Ideas. There's
Yeah.
probably other ones on the list that I'm like I should remember these things. Like there's a ton that you could name off, but I'll go to Coast until Coast is no more. L Ideas so lucky and Trotters two times. See in
His
that
son
man's
is
kitchen.
reopening it, right?
I know.
The
I
same
know.
location.
His timing is impeccable. I would like to thank him for that. Um,
Because he's also bringing back all the chefs who are part of the original crew, doing different pop-ups there.
I
Cool.
can't. I mean, my list, the triumphant return list is getting
Oh,
large.
you have to
Like
do Coach House tasting menu.
I want to do everything. I
Yeah.
can't even tell. I
I
want to
can't wait
do.
to get back. We're gonna like,
Oh, we're going. We're going. We're going all of them. You know what though? When we went to Alpena, that was incredible.
yeah,
When we did the wine dinner at Jose Andres' place, that was
yeah,
incredible.
Valleau.
But this is the thing. Like I can't like picking three in Chicago is like
Oh no, it's almost impossible. But
oh,
you
because I
know,
could also say that like I could sit and have dinner with you at Emilio's, and we could order just cava and Nordico and have a bunch of like tapas
yeah,
and be happy as clams, and we've done that.
yeah.
So like it's right like like what are the experience, right?
Well, I mean, I think the great thing about Chicago is that like we have really good. I think we invented casual fine dining, and
Yeah.
so you can have these experiences, and it's not like all white tablecloth. And I think we started that in a lot of ways.
Oh
But then
yeah.
you can have the most like scientific, like crazy over the top meal, and then you can go to have street food, and it's great. So that's Chicago is just. I dine all over the country and go to a lot of great places because of my work.
Yeah.
I don't obviously Chicago is my hometown, but I lived in New York for a long time. I lived in Martha's Vineyard, so
Yeah.
I just keep coming back. Chicago just keeps doing great things, and we keep taking hits, right? Like places keep closing. It's not a great time right now. Tariffs are pretty hard on everybody,
Yeah.
but it's still great places keep opening up here, and I think it's a great testament to there's more staying power here too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree. I
Like
agree.
close pretty quickly. They can.
Something I started to say after leaving, um, that even on her worst day, Chicago is better than everybody else. Even at her worst, she's better than you are.
No,
Like
listen.
I
Who's a
just
New
I
Yorker?
feel about Chicago like Carrie feels about New York,
Yeah. No,
and
I
that's
mean,
just
me too. And I when I left and went and moved to New York, there was a moment that I lived longer in New York than I had lived in Chicago, and I started thinking, oh God, like I'm not losing my Chicago-ness, though everybody gives me the New Yorker props too. So, because I changed some of the culture there and
Right.
was part of it for a really long time. But I never gave up my fandom of my sports teams or how I would talk about Chicago to people, and coming home was the best thing I ever did.
Oh yeah, 100%. All right, here's my last one for you.
Okay.
What is your go-to cocktail and where are you drinking it?
My go-to cocktail, oh God, I kind of have two.
Mm-hmm.
So, is a gimlet, but a gin gimlet, aromatic gin. Doesn't always have to be my gin if they don't have it. Because I do represent Nordish gin, which is the best aromatic gin in the world. But
It sure is.
I don't like mine up. I like it on one rock, like a whiskey rock, slow melting rock, or on big rocks. It's whatever. I like a little bit of dilution.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
gimlet. And my second go-to is always going to be a margarita. And there was one that a couple people called the BK Rita because a lot of people in New York know me as BK. That's like my nickname. It was my DJ
Mm-hmm.
name. And I love a margarita with fresh citrus, really good tequila, and something that's not going to be an orange liqueur that's too sweet,
Mm-hmm.
too over the top, and then a bar spoon of Benedictine, which is
I
a
am
liqueur.
familiar with this drink. I have made
It is delicious.
this drink. It is delicious.
Um,
It is incredible. It's a
it makes it
great
really
drink.
bright, and there's just that little bit of Benedictine. I think you should always have Benedictine on your back bar.
I mean, a handy tip for folks that have back bars, Benedictine, get in there.
Come on, does
That
it
is a good
back
one.
bar since the pandemic? Didn't everybody stock their bar and learn how to make cocktails at home?
I mean,
I know
no,
I
I
taught
just went.
some people.
It's true. I mean, I think I just drove to the shop and was like, "What's left?" And just cried a little bit and probably made an aviation.
Yeah, also good with an
Mm,
aromatic gin.
I haven't had an aviation in over 15 months.
Well, what's funny is that, winemakers during harvest, winemakers taste so much wine all the time. They drink beer, If you
Yeah.
follow Antonio Massanita on his Instagram, he's like, we're getting ready for harvest. We're starting to get all the beers in stock at the winery.
Well, sure. I mean, it
I
makes
feel
perfect
like it'd
sense,
be
right?
cool if there was a winery, and maybe it's done, a brewery that made a beer called the Winemaker's beer. That was like
Oh, God.
a light, refreshing, crushable beer during the harvest.
Hmm, 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 hmm. All right. I got some wheels turning. I do. All right. So as we start to wrap things up, we quickly at the end of each episode we've talked about the importance of community and rooting into community. And I like to remind people how they can join this community. Because the whole point of doing this was just that, was to continue to build a community, and build it around the incredible people that I have had the opportunity to meet throughout life. The way that you can join the community for Everyday with Kay, you can follow Facebook and Instagram, like, share, subscribe, do all the things. All the things help. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Amazon. If there is a service that puts stuff in your earballs, I am there. And we'd love to have the support to do that. This has been incredible. We've learned a ton. We've enjoyed some wine. We had great conversation, which I think we always do. We actually rarely get to do it for this concentrated.
It's true. I love this. I haven't been able to see you like this for a while, so
I know. This is really quite delightful. Like, we just got to have a very nice conversation that will be put out into the public. But like, it's just great. So
well,
yeah, are there ways?
congratulations
Are there
on
ways?
this.
What's up?
Congratulations on this podcast. I think it's great, and
You know,
continue.
I think it has legs, and I think we can. Not. I think. I believe. I believe that we can. We can make this work, and I'm looking forward to just kind of building it, because that's, if I'm not a builder, I don't know what I am. So.
Well, let's
we
do
just-
bubbles next time.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to just be Spanish bubbles. I would love to talk about all different bubbles.
So basically, what you're telling me is you want to do the Champagne Wine Club again?
Yeah, we're gonna do.
That's what I just heard.
champagne, We're gonna do Frankencorta. We're gonna do cava. We're gonna do a little
mm.
sparkling wine from the U.S. when we can find it and it's good.
Sometimes I appreciate that we can embrace our snobbery and be like, I mean, it's fine. I will say I have had a couple of sparklings from the great state of Michigan that don't suck.
No, I believe in Michigan. I definitely do.
I mean, as a wine, I honestly like. I'm not a California wine girl. I don't care. I should care. Whatever. I don't. I like. If I'm doing, like I like the Finger Lakes regions of New York. I like Michigan.
Yeah.
I like Portland. I like Oregon. I like the Willamette. Like I like that.
Yeah.
I tried some Florida wine.
How was that?
Great. It was tomato wine, Brooke. It was tomato.
Oh,
Oh,
like
it
my
was
people?
tomato.
Italian American people or what? I hope not.
No, it was tomato wine. And we will leave our viewers wondering what in the bleep is tomato wine. And I'll just tell everybody, I took the hit, so you don't have to. Hmm.
Thank.
Don't investigate it. Don't go find it. Don't look for it. It was like a Bloody Mary gone wrong.
Oh my God.
It was woof, woof, woof.
Thank you for saving us.
Yeah, you're
Having to
welcome,
taste
world.
that.
A grateful nation. A grateful nation thanks me for trying spicy tomato wine. It was disgusting. Don't go anywhere after I end this, but we're gonna wrap up and say thank you to everybody. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for hanging out and all of those things.
Thank you for having me.
Friends,
Drink
it's
better.
yeah, right. Everyone should just drink a little bit better. Um, I am honored to know you as a human person. And yeah, all right, everyone.
Well,
So drink better wine, read the back label, drink better wine, and get into Portugal wines and Portuguese wines. Do
drink
that.
more Albarino.
Drink more Albarino. That's it. And then go get tattoos of shells. But you can't do the one that we're getting because that's just us.
Exactly.
That's just us. All right, I love you.
Love you too.
All right, be cool, be kind, everybody. Stay curious.